Hi, I'm Cindy Armstrong, and welcome to Discover C4C, where we discover art, lifelong learning, and fun. We talk with artists about exhibits in the C4C gallery, and we explore ideas and workshops that will hopefully ignite your creative spirit. Hi, today we're talking with Annina Collier. She's the Dean of the Center for Creativity here at TCC, aka the C4C, and we're going to talk today about TED Talks. So I'm sure a lot of you have heard about TED Talks, but Annina, what is a TED Talk?
Sure. Who's TED, right?
Who's TED?
Yeah. So TED is an international nonprofit organization that's dedicated to ideas worth spreading. TED stands for Technology Entertainment Design, which is how, the original TED Talks were kind of focused on those three subjects. But today it is total diversity in topic. I mean, literally anything you can imagine, someone is giving or has given a TED Talk about. They've become really famous as the #1 organization for sharing ideas online. So one common way that people will listen to TED Talks is just by going to YouTube or the TED website and typing in whatever they're interested in: history,
creativity.
Yeah, underwater ocean life. I mean, really anything you can imagine. The idea with a TED Talk is that it has to be new in some way. So it has to be new information. It's a great way to learn about new technology or new discoveries in science, or be a really new and innovative way to look at a common idea, make you think about something in a totally different way. So that's what TED is. And then TED will, so they are dedicated to a free exchange of ideas, but they have a couple of events over the course of the year where you can go in person, big conferences. But then they also empower local communities to host their own version of a TED event. And those are called TEDx events.
Okay.
And that's what we've done here at the Center for Creativity in the past, and what we're looking forward to doing in April of 2020.
Okay, so a TEDx event that could be held by anyone who really wants to put forth the work and the effort and apply for a license.
Right. So that's basically TED extending their brand to an individual. And of course, no one can do it on their own. So that individual has to put together a team of some sort to put on a locally organized event. But yeah, they're very protective of their brand, as they should be. And so there's a very stringent licensing process that you have to go through. There are different levels of license that you can receive for a TEDx event. And then there is, as you know, because you've worked on this with me, an incredible amount of rules and procedures you have to follow.
Yes. So we had a TEDx Tulsa CC event in April 2017, and we're planning to do another one in April 2020. So just to catch everyone up on what we're excited about.
And, sorry to jump in, but what's so exciting about that for Tulsa is that talks that were given at TEDx event like ours have been viewed over 3 billion times online. And I think it's so important that Tulsa's best ideas are on that platform, are part of that global platform, and that Tulsa's best ideas will continue to be part of that online archive of humanity's best ideas. Our community belongs in that space, and that's part of why we undergo, all of the effort to put on an event like this.
And one of the speakers, who I'm assuming probably has had a lot of hits, is the poetic justice Ellen Stackable.
Yeah.
And she was actually named one of CNN's hometown heroes. I think that's what they call.
Yeah, you're right. So in 2017, one of our speakers was Ellen Stackable, who does a program called Poetic Justice. And you're right, after that talk, and not to say the talk prompted CNN.
Right.
But she was named as CNN hometown hero, and it's awesome to watch. But yeah, I think too, in the age of misinformation and kind of viral false news that we're living in right now, TED is even more important because the talks are so stringently curated and fact-checked.
And authentic.
And authentic that, if you're watching a TED Talk, that thing has been
vetted.
Yes. Yes.
Let me take the words out of your mouth.
No, that's perfect. That's very helpful. So I think that is another way that our community is contributing to an improved culture of knowledge.
Right. So I know you just got back from TEDGlobal, and we've been so busy around the office, we have not even gotten to talk about it at all. So this will be fresh for us and anyone listening. So tell me about it. What was that experience like?
It was amazing, once in a lifetime experience.
And it was in Edinburgh.
It was in Edinburgh, Scotland. So TED does several big conferences a year. Their sort of flagship one is in Vancouver, Canada, and it is very expensive to attend. It's, we have to remember that they're a nonprofit and it's a fundraiser.
Right.
And then TEDGlobal, it's held at different locations around the world. And so this summer it happened to be in Edinburgh, and this one is more accessible to TEDx organizers. And if you attend and go through some of their workshops and training, you become eligible for an enhanced license. And that was the main impetus for sending me there, was that so I could bring back this license. And that the most important part of this license is that we can now have more than 100 people at our TEDx
event. That's awesome.
So if you're going to go through all the work and preparation of a TEDx event, you want to reach as many people as possible. So we'll now be able to do that. It's something you only have to do once, and so for every TEDx event that I receive a license for, we'll be able to do that. But yeah, I joined about 300 TEDx organizers from 53 countries.
Wow.
And so it was amazing to get to meet people from all across the world.
Did they have translators?
They did. They had a lot of translators.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Great question. And so we did workshops. We heard from Chris Anderson, the head of TED, multiple occasions. We got to ask a lot of questions of each other and of TED staffers, which was incredibly helpful because like any, like many organizations, a lot of time when you're trying to communicate with TED, you're just emailing like events@ted.com or something. But I actually got to meet people and put faces with names. And I was not expecting this, but I was really happy to come back with a renewed sense of confidence about the quality of our event, about how it compares to other events going on in the world, and particularly about our speaker preparation process and the quality of our speakers. And I was also able to, confirm that we can shape our event to meet our community's needs.
Interesting.
So yeah, it was amazing. So the first few days was spent with just other TEDx organizers, and then we were joined by the rest of the conference attendees, and we heard about 60 TED Talks on all kinds of subjects. I know, which you're like, wow, that sounds exhausting, right?
Information overload.
The way TED does it, I mean, you're on the edge of your seat. They're broken up across the course of days with other things to do, and it was just really educational.
And they're pretty short,
They're
right?
very short, right?
Yeah, these aren't 2-hour talks.
Yeah, not at all. And in fact, it can't be considered a TED Talk if it's longer than 18 minutes.
Okay.
So, but I did notice, one thing I noticed with our first TED event was that 18 minutes was just too long for an audience.
When your attention span these days is very short.
Exactly. And especially when you're listening to multiple speakers. And so one thing that I've implemented with our speakers for this coming event, no one was given even close to 18 minutes. depending on the topic, couple got 14, couple got 11 or 12, others 6 to 8. And it was very kind of affirming for me when I went to the TED event. I checked, they have a countdown clock for the speakers that was in the back of the theater that I could see. And before every single speaker, I looked to see how much time they had. Nobody had 18.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 14 was the max. And so that was kind of like, okay, we're on the right track here.
Right.
So yeah, they go by really fast. And it was just also very educational to see how TED runs a conference. I mean, they're just so good at it. Everything from how they interact with, the speakers are given opportunities to interact with the audience, and how they care for attendees, how they provide a lot of services. I mean, it's really just amazing.
Now, you mentioned care for attendees. Yes. Listeners, Miss Annina Collier is with child.
Quite.
And they were very accommodating to you.
Yes, they were. I barely got in under the flight restrictions. So I am pregnant and was very pregnant while I was there. And I didn't need or expect any special treatment, but one thing that they had planned for the TEDxers was a group hike. And I knew I was not going to be able to do that for reasons I won't get into. And I was cool with that. I was planning to just kind of go and hang out in the hike area because it was pretty and entertain myself. But TED found me a tour guide just for me that could, kind of meet my needs a little bit better. And that was certainly, not expected at all. And kind of a good example of how accommodating they were of individuals. Like when they provided a meal, really, whatever your dietary restriction was, there was going to be food you could eat that was very clearly labeled. I mean, it was just...
That's nice.
Yeah.
As someone with celiac disease.
Yeah, I thought about you a lot, Cindy. I was like, yeah, Cindy could eat here.
Yes.
So yeah, they call it the audience experience team that handles a lot of those details, and it was first rate.
That sounds awesome. Don't you wish like every trip you ever took there was like an audience or...
Oh yeah, a concierge.
Kind of concierge.
Yeah. Oh man, if Ted could plan all of my outings from now on, that'd be awesome.
Well, so going to TEDGlobal, that obviously I'm sure was not free. So tell me, how did that opportunity come about?
Sure. So after the first TED event, I, wanted to meet with TCC administration to make sure that, they were happy with the event, that they thought it was a good investment of time specifically, because we were able to produce the event with very little resources. And I did receive a resounding yes, we want to do more, and specifically one that will help celebrate the 50th anniversary of the college in 2020. And so it became very important to get that enhanced license to have more than 100 people. And so the college was able to help facilitate the use of George Kaiser Family Foundation funding to send me to go. So I am very grateful to GKFF for providing that opportunity, and for the college for supporting that opportunity, because when I say once in a lifetime, it really is. And the connections that I was able to bring back, I have a stack of business cards that I'm still entering in to my contacts, and the new skills. It was an investment, but I really believe it was worth it, especially to help keep Tulsa part of this global conversation.
Exactly. If you could pick one talk at TEDGlobal, because I don't even know if they're out yet, actually, made public.
Yeah, a few of them are. I've noticed. Yeah, they're slowly kind of starting to come up on the website.
What was one that really spoke to you?
Yeah, there were a lot of them. It's hard to pick, but one of them that definitely stood out was by Nicola Sturgeon, who is I think the title is First Minister of Scotland, so equivalent to, the Prime Minister or the President. And she was an incredible speaker and really talked about about Scotland's budgetary commitment to well-being. You might have heard about this. New Zealand got quite a bit of press about this, but Iceland is another country that's doing it, and Scotland is too. And it was just really interesting to hear her make the case for why her country is prioritizing that above economic growth.
Forgive me, but I don't watch the news all the time. So when you say health, are you meaning like health care for?
This could just, I mean, it was a pretty broad definition,
Okay.
but it was basically putting, well-being of people above economic growth, with the idea that as we provide well-being priorities, economics will come along with it.
Okay.
It's not an either or thing.
Right.
It's just a matter of priorities. And not everybody agrees with that, and that's
Right.
part of a TED Talk, right? You're
Right.
making a case for something. But it was a really compelling talk, and pretty cool to get to sit, 50 feet away from
Right.
Nicola Sturgeon. And there was another journalist there, and she broke the Cambridge Analytica Facebook data scandal story. And so that was a really interesting interview that she did, that we got to hear a lot more about that. And then later I got to just have a one-on-one chat with her, and
Wow.
because I ran into her at the water cooler essentially. and those are the kind of experiences that make a TED Talk or a TED experience really special.
Awesome. And so, as we mentioned, we had a TEDx Tulsa CC event here at the Center for Creativity in 2017, and have been planning one for April 2020. This is all like a really big undertaking. And I know because I'm helping a little
right?
bit.
Barry. The whole staff here at the C4C knows this is a big undertaking.
But what inspired you to want to do this?
I've been trying to remember, and I can't remember. I would love to have some cool origin story about how I was walking up and down the stairs, and it just hit me like, we should do. But I know I've been a fan of TED Talks for a long time and listened to a lot of them. And at some point, I think I just found out about TEDx events and thought that given, the Center for Creativity is looking to spark creative ideas. And it seemed very in line with what we're hoping to do here, and also, of course, wanting to help elevate Tulsa's best ideas. And it seemed like a great way to do that. And so I don't totally remember, but it just kind of made sense.
Just kind of comes together sometimes.
Yeah.
So, are there any lessons you learned from 2017 that I'm sure there are, that you're carrying over to 2020?
Yeah, I was really proud of our 2017 event. I thought it went great. There's always a few things that you're like, I think the biggest thing is making the talks a little shorter. I thought the talks last time were great, but I think that just for flow of the event, a few shorter talks would be helpful. We're bringing in lots of, we're doing another surprise performance, which I can't tell about, but will be neat. Last time we had the Broken Arrow High School percussion group do a surprise event, and the TCC concert choir, kind of a surprise. The theme that time was subliminal. This time our theme is instincts, and so we will be exploring instincts in every sense of the word, human instincts of all kind, ancient, modern, constructive, destructive, altruistic, selfish. It's a little bit of a challenge because we are encouraged by TED to have a theme, but we also have to have incredible diversity in topic. And so sometimes that can be kind of a challenge. But we've found that the one-word themes are a good way to do that. And then they help inspire the peripheral events, like we're going, as you know, we're doing an open call for artists. So we'll have an art exhibition based on the word instincts, music, and, different puzzles and interactive elements, and so
And
it gives
that
a lot
call
of
for
room.
artists is open to anyone. You do
Yes.
not, I've been getting inquiries. You
Mm-hmm.
do not have to be a TCC student to be part of this exhibit.
Yes,
So,
you don't have to be associated with TCC at all.
Right.
So we'd love to get your work.
So are there any particular speakers that you could like let us in on?
Yeah, we have 9 speakers lined up on a huge variety of topics. Everything from how coral reefs glow in the dark to the science of hope. And
Wow.
we are partnering with the Gathering Place. They will host a free public watch party of our event because we can only fit, even with the enhanced license, so many
Right.
people in the Center for Creativity. But the community is invited to come out and watch the live stream at the Gathering Place. And so we're really excited to be partnering with them. One of the talks is about the Gathering Place. And
Awesome.
yeah, so, and kind of the idea behind that talk is that, people, the Gathering Place is very intentional about being a park for everyone. And you might think, well,
Right.
what park isn't for everyone? Like, are parks elitist? And it's like, well, parks really aren't for everyone unless you work really hard to make sure all communities are involved. And so that speaker, Rodrigo Roja, is going to be telling about the ways that the Gathering Place has done outreach to specific communities to make sure it really is a park for everyone. And if you are interested in attending, please come to that watch party. So we'll have some live elements there as well. It won't just be a live stream.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. And who doesn't love the Gathering Place?
I know, right?
It's like one of the most famous things that's here now, and
I
it's
know.
free. Tell me about the community partners involved with TEDx Tulsa
Sure.
CC.
Yes. So that's one really neat thing about doing a TEDx event is certainly people from all over TCC will be involved, but it's a great opportunity to partner with many different community organizations. We are very grateful to George Kaiser Family Foundation for being the presenting sponsor and funding the main event. We're excited to work with the Woody Guthrie Center on musical performances, and the musicians will perform here at the C4C and then also live at the Gathering Place. And of course, the Gathering Place, it's just a wonderful venue for the watch party. We'll be adding in, lots more community partners. We're still kind of at the beginning of that. Last time we were so grateful to Fab Lab for helping us fabricate those big TEDx letters.
Which on a condensation filled day, you can still kind of see where the signage was on our windows.
Right. They did those too. Yeah. I'm talking about that on the stage, the TEDx letters,
right.
which they did those. And, that's kind of funny to think about because people assume that when you get a TED license, you get a bunch of tools and resources kind of like TED in a box. Maybe a truck backs up and unloads around red carpet.
Not so much.
Nope, not at all. And so that's part of why we depend on community partners so much to help put it on. It really is a community-wide effort.
So I have a final question for you. What's something that you like to do that ignites your creative spirit?
Well, I'm not just saying this, but these TEDx events are the most fulfilling creative projects I've ever done. They take years off my life, I'll be totally honest. When you're talking about, at least 100 different collaborators, if not more, and, you're having speakers and a dinner and people think, just turn on the lights, let the speakers on stage, that's it, right? But it's a huge undertaking. But, I say that as someone who's been involved in the arts since I was 10 or 11, and I still find this to be, one of the most fulfilling creative project. So it's really cool that TCC and Tulsa and George Kaiser Family Foundation have embraced TEDx events. And I think that the April 2020 event will be great, and there'll be more from here too.
Yeah, and I think you will get a wonderful night's sleep when it's over.
Let's hope.
Thanks for listening. If today's podcast sparked your creativity, please subscribe. We'll see you next time.